Billin, Uptown Murph.
Top Billin, Billin.
When I first thought about it, I was staunchly against the return of your man Chauncey Gardner. But the more and more I think about it, I think it's actually perfect. I think Chauncey Gardner's return sets a lot of stuff up, and it can be of a 1-year rental again, at least on a prove-it deal. Something about Chauncey, man, you have to admit. He didn't play that many games in Detroit, man, but as you can see here, in a couple of games that he did play, he was able to get himself a couple of interceptions just for the fact that, man, he's just a ball magnet. I don't know what it is, as you can see right here. Working off the first level there, it's pretty much at a 5 technique, right? Drop him in the depth there. Ball bounces off the hands of Mike Evans, and look who's right there, Chauncey. Your man, C.J. Gardner right there. And, of course, showing his skills from back in the day, man, when he's in high school playing a little offense. But moreover, man, when I first knew about him and was at a camp with him, he was a cornerback. I mean, off sheer versatility alone, Chauncey Gardner makes sense. In that Fangio scheme, remember, there will be a lot of duality at the safety position, but you will have a little bit of a delineation between the two. We can kind of see it right here when they break the huddle. You see the safeties communicating with each other right there. You get one safety. Right now, he's to the closed portion of the formation right here, and this looks like damn near 13 personnel, or at least, yeah, it looks like 13 personnel right here. So he's at the strength of the formation for real. So he would have to anchor down, but look at this. Communicate that right there. He drops back at depth, then the strength of the formation kind of changes, and you get the other safety right here pressing down, right? So obviously he will have to anchor the run there, but as you can see, a little bit of duality at the safety position, but still a clear delineation. While we know CJ to be a ready, willing, and able tackler, let's be real here. When he was here, that man's tackling technique sometimes left a lot to be desired, as he would bounce off a ton of tackles. But he's undeniably a playmaker. Look at him close off the middle of the field right here. Shoot it out and Yakup. What are we doing here? That man, Chauncey Gardner, would definitely add some juice to that secondary, or re-add some juice to the secondary. I love his ability to show off that range at times, and other times appeared that he's just creating his own luck, like we see right here with a tip pass from JB. Your man gets up for the downstroke right there. I say all that to say this. I like Chauncey Gardner because he allows my man Reed Blankenship to play closer to the line of scrimmage, where I think he's even more impactful. We know Reed Blankenship can do a lot of the deep work as well, but having him around the ball, having him sniff out the run, I think he's better than that of Chauncey Gardner, and I think he can do a lot of the same stuff underneath. Now, do I know if this will happen? I don't. I never pretend to know what an NFL team will do, even if I'm a fan of it. I mean, I'm practical in my professionalism, because you cannot definitively speak on something that you don't control. I would love for it to happen, but if you think about it in a practical manner, Reed Blankenship and C.J. Gardner played the same exact position. Reed Blankenship was able to get time as a rookie because Chauncey Gardner was injured. So they obviously didn't give him the type of money that they wanted. It could have been because of his injury history. The only thing that he did after leaving the Philadelphia Eagles was go and get injured even worse. Your man only played a few games for Detroit. And if we look at it right here, you have Chauncey Gardner in his time with the Eagles, right? So he was able to play 12 games, and he had Reed Blankenship working there, obviously in certain situations. So I'm comparing Chauncey Gardner's 22 season to Reed Blankenship's 23 season right here. So 15 games from Reed. He too was injured a lot, but he had 79 solo tackles produced. Chauncey had 61. Look at this. Chauncey only with 6 assisted tackles. That's crazy to me. And Reed Blankenship with 34. So 113 tackles from Reed Blankenship, who I said before, he seems like the better guy in run support. Now, he too has to work on making sure that his tackle percentage goes up because he's bounced off a few tackles as well. But, man, his ability to diagnose, he will stick his face in the fire, no doubt about that. Chauncey will too, but his technique to me is lacking, and I just think he's better in range or in space, right? Especially if you're going to close off the middle of the field. I think he's a little bit better than Reed Blankenship in that. So not to say that Reed Blankenship is not good at it. I think that CJ's just a little bit better at it. And not to say that Chauncey's not good in run support. I just think that Reed Blankenship is better than him in that as well. So he had a couple of QB hits there or whatever. 11 passes defense from Reed Blankenship, 8 for Chauncey there. So you got to think about that. Now, look at this. In pass coverage, Chauncey Gardner was giving up 73% completion percentage there. 63% for Reed Blankenship. But look at the rating, all right? 78.4 for Chauncey, a former cornerback, almost 100 rating for Reed Blankenship. Definitely got to get him up out of man coverage sometimes. And like I said before, Chauncey's just better at it. That was his thing, right? Coming out of high school in the early part at Florida, in his career at Florida as well. So having a guy like Chauncey, would he be my number one pick? Nope. Still working with my man X, right? My boy Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney is one of these dudes who can flip everything. I just think the world of this guy, he will be the dude. However, Chauncey coming off another injured year, maybe he takes a 1-year deal, a 1-year prove-it deal, which would coincide with what? Reality. The reality of the situation is they drafted Sidney Brown. He's going to play. If you draft or if you go out and sign a guy like Xavier McKinney, who will require a pretty big contract, what does that do for someone like Sidney Brown? They're going to want this guy to play. They just drafted him. It's not like anybody left that drafted him, right? So it's still Howie Roseman's guy. They drafted him in the 3rd round. Same thing with Reed Blankenship. They clearly putting a lot of time and effort into Reed Blankenship. Those seem to be the safeties of the future. Not saying that someone else can't come in, but somebody like Chauncey would make more sense if he would take a 1-year deal. Additionally, I did a joint a couple of weeks ago talking about my man Max Melton from Rutgers University, saying how the Eagles need to somehow, some way get this man on the team. Very much like a Chauncey Gardner, he's a cornerback by trade who can play safety, and more importantly, he can play in the slot. Now look at this right here. You have NJ.com, my beloved NJ.com right here, saying the same thing a couple of weeks later. Are Eagles getting in position to draft Rutgers star? They talk about the release of Avonte Maddox. Arrivederci to my man Avonte Maddox, who's a very talented player. Just couldn't stay healthy. You got people right here talking about should the Eagles look to replace Maddox via the draft. Rutgers Max Melton will be a really solid successor inside. Yes, this is the dude right here because he adds value at multiple positions. Like I said before, he can easily be a safety if necessary, but he can play on the inside. And guess what he did now, right? When I did the joint a couple of weeks ago, nobody wanted to talk about it, right? Because it's always about a popularity contest. But all he did was go to the combine, 5'11", 187 pounds. That's really good size for the slot there. South Jersey in the building. Mays Landing, stand up. Atlantic County got another one. Look at this right here. Your man ran a 4.39. When he ran that 4.39 and had that 40.5-inch vertical leap, an 11.4 broad jump, then you had people jumping on the damn channel asking me about what do I think about Max Melton. The same cat who I already suggested. Matter of fact, he was my first prospect suggested for the Philadelphia Eagles as far as the defensive backs go. But hey, it is what it is. That's what people want to do, right? So you cannot tell me he wouldn't be absolute fire. I do not know which round he would go, and I still would have to think that he probably would go more in the 2nd round. So that would leave that 1st round slot open for a linebacker. If they wanted to go in that direction. It really depends on the free agency haul, so we shall see what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that Max Melton study on the back end of this right here so people can finally see that if they hadn't seen it. Make sure you're sharing the content, baby. Make sure you're supporting the content, but support it by sharing it. Take it to social media Take it to message boards, link people to it, man. Let's get this thing going. All right, it's your boy, Jersey Murph. As always, much love to everybody out here. Cumberland County stand up. Listen, shout outs to Chester, PA. Shout outs to everybody out in Delaware, Wilmington, Newark, Newcastle, Wilmington. Shouts to the entire Philly, Elkton, Maryland. Stand up. That's why I believe we should target my man Max Melton from my Rutgers Scarlet Knights, a South Jersey native. Bring that man back home and watch him do big work. Now, Rutgers and South Jersey aside, I believe the world in this kid's talent. I think he is a phenomenal prospect for the NFL. Very much reminds me of like a Brian Branch that has that type of positional fluidity where we could see him line up in the slot, free safety. He hits like a strong safety. He can do it all, right? You can probably play him at corner in a pinch. You need that type of defensive back on the Philadelphia Eagles because obviously we've shown that we will get multiple injuries, or we have the ability to get multiple injuries across a secondary, and he can fill that many roles and be that impactful. 6 foot 190. My man, this past year, he had 3 interceptions. So the past 3 years, he's had about 8 interceptions, a touchdown, various pass breakups. He can do the damn thing, man. Let's check out a few plays right here. All right, remember, I'm only going to do a few of these right here. I'll do actual film studies on these guys, these prospects, after the pro days, combines, and all that are in, because you get real heights, weights, measures of athleticism and all that to support my analysis that I already think. So keep that in mind. On this one right here, man, you can see his footwork, right? So he plays on the outside. So I project him to play on the inside or even to be moved to safety. But that's just my personal projection here. But look at his feet on this cat right here. Oh, look at him run it for the receiver. Jakob played him. Absolutely played him, right? You can see right here going against my man, Talia Tungavaloa. You can see him come up out of this, right? Come up out of this pedal. So he takes an outside approach to this to get that inside leverage, but I want you to watch how his feet work right here. Look at that. Transition right there while keeping his eyes on the prize. You can see him right now looking dead into a Talia Tungavaloa's eyes, right? He'll get 2 or 2 eventually, but unless they're on the same team. He'll get him in practice, though, but you can see right there on this out route, nothing to it but to do it right there. Man, look at the trend. I just want you to look at the transition. This is the stuff you need to pay attention to. Right, stop looking at the results of a play and look at how those results are derived. But look at him undercut this after transitioning absolutely perfectly, get himself an interception there. Come on, that type of awareness, right, in man coverage or off man coverage or in zone, ability to flip his hips and all that. This is the type of guy you want on the inside. Not too many guys can do that. And I know that we have Isaiah Rodgers in the fold, no doubt about that. We'll see what he brings to the table there. But you need guys who can play that position, play on the outside, play safety. We need one of those Swiss Army guys. Maddox is like that, but I wouldn't trust Maddox anymore with his injury history. We need someone to replace him. All right, this time, obviously in severe off-man coverage, able to keep his eyes on the prize. Well, he can keep eyes on the prize, which would be Vic Fangio's scheme a lot. You can't play him. Cannot play him right. You cannot eye some shit like this, right? You're trying to eye a curl route. Not going to happen, right? You were hoping that he would run off, but he takes presence at the sticks, knowing that, hey, at the very least, I can flip my hits and run with this guy. And you can see he's already in panic mode. He's thinking like, shit, this guy ain't biting. Please don't throw this ball over here. Runs a lazy ass route. My boy Melton getting himself another joint right there. South Jersey in the building. Remember, my projection is him on the inside. He plays on the outside, and he's doing stuff on film that the Philadelphia Eagles will do under Vic Fangio. Same deal right here. This is zone coverage. So eyes on the prize. You can make a real strong case that he's more solid at this than a Keely Ringo or maybe even in Eli Ricks. Think about that. You see this right here? Nope, not going to play him. Look at that. Inside out squeeze. You see him immediately take shape, shuffle back to the sideline on some JB, James Bradbury type stuff right here. But look at him eyeing the out route here from the inside. Still zone coverage. You work vertically, but if you feel like you can make a play on this right here and you have the help, right, Actually, does not have the help right there. So he had to be very sure that this wasn't some type of pump and go or something like that. But once the quarterback commits to it there, he's on it. Breaking it up right there. Let's see it one more time, full speed. Look at that. Hell of a play right there. Zone awareness and zone recognition from a guy who can play multiple positions. And he'll light you up, too.
What more can I say?
Top Billin.